Today we're going to be talking about 7 of the top things you need to know before moving to St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm your host, Matt Baldwin, and I've helped people relocate to the St. Petersburg area for 5 years. So if you're looking to relocate to St. Petersburg, Florida, text, call, or email, or better yet, set up a Zoom in the description below. And we're going to get to it right now. Today we are at the St. Petersburg Pier. It is a beautiful $93 million pier, probably one of the most expensive piers in the entire world. I'm not sure about the most expensive pier, but it is the second largest pier in the country. It stretches 3,000 feet. It has 5 restaurants. It has a splash pad for the kids. It has a little outdoor gymnasium for the kids, and it's absolutely amazing. It's a great place to visit. Number one, guys, is the flood zone. So it's really important to know about the flood zones in St. Petersburg, Florida, since we are in between the Gulf of Mexico and the Tampa Bay. A lot of the neighborhoods in St. Petersburg are in flood zones, so it's really important to know what flood zone you're in and how much flood insurance is going to be, since insurance has gone up in the last few years. I'm sure you guys have maybe heard, but a good thing to keep in mind, guys, is that there are plenty of neighborhoods in St. Petersburg that are not in flood zones.
You could see all of the flood zones are on the coast that surround St. Petersburg and up towards Clearwater. We're going to zoom in, and then as you can see, get this thing. Flood zones are on the edge of the Old Northeast, up towards Snell Isle, up towards Shore Acres, Venetian Isle, and these are boating communities. So a lot of these homes are on the water, and that's the risk that you take living on the water. You're in these flood zones. Not all of these houses flood. A lot of these homes have been leveled and built up. So there's great homes in these neighborhoods, homes that will never flood. But the other challenge will be when it does flood due to either rising storm water or high tide. The ability to get into your house is often the challenge. So, but as you'll see, it goes up north of St. Pete and then it bends over to the west. I'm going to highlight all of these neighborhoods right here are in no flood zones. And this is where the bulk of St. Petersburg is. You have the Old Northeast, you have Crescent Lake, you have Euclid St. Paul, which catty corners like this. You have Woodlawn, Magnolia, beautiful Allendale, and then you have Crescent Heights. With Crescent Heights goes right here, and then there are tons of neighborhoods up here as well. No flood zones. North Kenwood, and then United Central all over. So you have tons and tons of neighborhoods that have no flood zones. So it's just keep that in mind when you are searching in St. Petersburg, where the neighborhood you are thinking, or where the school district you're thinking, or maybe where your friends are located. To put all this into consideration when you are thinking about relocating to St. Petersburg.
The next thing on our list is suburbs. There are no suburbs in St. Petersburg, and I know that's going to be it's going to take people time to adjust to that. St. Petersburg has all these neighborhoods that are divided by main streets.
Example of the neighborhoods that are separated by main streets. This is the Old Northeast. This is 4th Street and Main Street. This is 22nd. This is also a main street. However, this is also a part of this community. This is another neighborhood separated by a main street. This is another neighborhood. This is Crescent Heights, separated by 4th, 22nd, 9th, and 30th. This is also another neighborhood. This is Woodlawn. This is another neighborhood. This is Euclid St. Paul. Euclid St. Paul also goes over here. We spoke about these in the top 5 neighborhoods for families in a previous video. If you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. It tells you an in-depth description of all these neighborhoods, the schools, the price point, the architecture, the design. of all these neighborhoods and why they're good for families.
Now, when you move into the suburbs, there are things that people love about suburbs. There are amenities. Usually the yards and spaces are bigger. They're surrounded by, huge parks, and they're also gated. Well, the good thing about St. Petersburg is that these neighborhoods are divided by main streets. They're around a substantial amount of commercial property, and they have great amenities that are already in the city. One of the main things that we have in St. Petersburg, which is going to be our third on our list, is the park and rec system. The park and rec system is among one of the best in all of Florida. It was actually voted #1 in all of Florida for their park and rec system. They were #3 in the whole nation in terms of a waterfront park system. So they're 13th in the nation in the park and rec system, but they're third biggest waterfront park system in the whole nation, which is pretty impressive. The systems, the park and rec system here is amazing. If you're a swimmer, if you love to play, indoor or outdoor basketball, if you like pottery, if you have a kid that likes to play, has karate, the park and rec system has tons and tons of buildings, and there's always a class going on for all ages. The fourth thing that you need to know about moving to St. Petersburg is that St. Petersburg is on a grid system, and like Chicago, and like New York, and like San Francisco, St. Petersburg is on a grid. So it is very, very easy to navigate the system and very easy to get around.
So this is a map that will give you an idea of the grid system in St. Petersburg. This is Central Avenue, and this runs east and west. Avenues do run east and west, but if you're trying to get to First Avenue North, you're going to go north. If you're trying to get to 60th Avenue North, you're going to go north. But avenues run east and west. Streets, they run north and south, but if you're trying to get to a street, for instance, this is where First Street is, but if you're trying to get to 170th Street, you are going to go west to 170th Street. If you know these pieces of information, navigating around St. Pete is going to be very easy, because all you have to do if you get lost is get to Central Avenue. Once you get to Central Avenue, which is where this blue and yellow line is, then you can navigate to whatever address you're trying to get to.
So even if you just know that piece of information, moving to the city and navigating the city will give you confidence to be able to feel like you're a part of St. Petersburg. And that's what we want for you immediately. We want you to watch this video. We want you to feel comfortable with the city and how to navigate around the city. Next thing on our list, guys, is crime. I can't really speak to crime because it would technically be called steering, but what we're going to do is provide you with a crime map, and it is going to be in the description below. The next thing you should know is the school system in St. Petersburg. The community of St. Petersburg forever was a retiree community. For the past 100 years, people have been coming here to basically live out their retired years. So the school system really hasn't had much pressure to advancing some of these schools that are now being filled with more and more kids. One thing I should mention is in the last few years, more younger people have been moving to St. Petersburg and calling St. Pete their home. A little under 50% of all the population in St. Pete is under 40 years old, which means in the coming years, there are going to be more and more families, more and more progression in the public school system, and that's always going to mean a better education. Another thing that St. Petersburg has that is a very good addition to the community is their magnet and their charter schools. St. Petersburg is home to some of the best magnet and charter schools, and that is always a good option for parents when they're thinking about putting their kids into a public school system. But the next thing to know in St. Petersburg is the things to do. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when you guys are looking for a place to move, it's always important to have things to do. Now, when it comes to things to do, I think St. Petersburg is on the top of the list in all the major cities in the country. Let's talk about the museums. We have some of the best museums in the country. We have the Dali Museum. We have the James Museum. We have amazing museums here in St. Petersburg. It's actually one of the pillars in St. Pete about, professional baseball, or going walking or driving over to Tampa Bay and watching a hockey game, or watching a football game at the Buck Stadium. Let's talk about concerts. How about the Florida Amphitheater that's over in Tampa, just a short drive, 30 minutes away? What about the pier that they set up here for concerts now? It's a huge space for concerts. We just had, people like the Revivalists, Ludacris came here, tons and tons of reggae, like Damian Marley is going to be here soon, Sublime. I mean, tons and tons of different genres of music is happening, and it's happening right in St. Petersburg. So let's move on to the beaches. St. Pete was voted #1 beach by TripAdvisor in 2020, and it's one of the most amazing stretch of beaches, 14 miles of beaches that go all the way up to Clearwater, and that's just about 15 miles away. Talk about state parks. One of my favorite places to go is Fort DeSoto State Park, because it has one of the best off-leash dog parks in all of Florida. And for all you dog lovers like myself, it's one of the most beautiful places to go to enjoy some time with other dog families, and just to hang around and walk around the beach. It's one of the most magical places, and I hope you guys get to see it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys would please subscribe and like this video, and if you are thinking about relocating to the St. Petersburg area, we love to help people relocate here. So please send us a text, call, or email, and we'll make sure to connect with you.